Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, and I'm coming back at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. In today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the Old Glory 15mm Command Decision M32 Armor Recovery Vehicle. Now, not only are we going to take a look at what you get in the bag, but I'm also going to assemble this on camera. We're only going to assemble one, and then the other two I'll assemble off camera. But you get 3 sets of tracks, 3 hulls, 3 vehicles, right? So everything's tripled. You get the 3 crane arms, 3 crane arm attachments. Here's the other one. 3 50 cal machine guns, and then you get way more than enough turret hatches for your commander's cupola to close up whatever hatch or open up whatever hatch you need to do. You get both sides, and you'll get 6 turrets. There's 2 styles. There are square style, which has like straight edges. Looks like there's gears on the side and bogey wheels. I'm suspecting that it's to help repair any damaged tanks out there when it goes. Like those would be, they're probably not gears. They're probably like bogey wheels. They're the drive wheels for when, like if they need to replace a track drive wheel. You get 3 of those, 3 of the rounded turrets, so you can decide to build which ones you wish to build. Alright, so I learned a little bit in between the video here. I wanted to find out why there were 2 different turrets included, and I found that one is for the cast hull with the rounded edges, and one is for the welded hull versions of the Sherman, because the Sherman went through a variety of different iterations, right? It went through M4, A1, A2, A3, A4. They also had the Lend-Lease Sherman 5 that went to England. You can actually technically, depending on if you want to, you can use either one in your build and you would not be wrong, right? Because it would just be a variant types of Shermans that are common in your battle. Now, because I use both the cast hull and the welded hull in a lot of my games, I'll probably build one of each of these, and then the third one, I think I'm going to build today. I think I'm going to build the welded hull, because the Fireflies and the British Shermans that I'm going to be playing is going to be late war, and so that's going to be the welded hull. Okay, so we're not gonna do those turrets right now. This is I learned some terms too. This is a boom arm, and this is what they call the A-frame. This was originally going to be used as a anti-mine device. This little wedge, and I'll show where that goes on. Looking at the Old Glory photos of the miniatures they put together, whoever put this model together for them actually did it wrong. So that's one reason why I wanted to do this model for you guys today, so that you will see exactly how it's supposed to go together. And then that piece I said was a retaining arm in the front, I lied. That is this little piece here. It's an 81mm mortar. Can you believe that? They have a mortar that they attach to the front of the vehicle to provide a smoke screen for when you're recovering vehicles. I thought that was all pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the ones that I'm not putting together. Okay, so now these tracks, you do need to kind of look at them and determine which one is left, which one is right. And this, I'm kind of looking at it based on where the drive sprocket is, and that's in the front. Okay, so this is all the parts you need, really, to put this together. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sharp X-Acto knife, so be careful with your X-Acto knives, and I'm going to go through and clean off any additional flash or sprue lines, mold lines, anything like that. Now, before we get started, as I get started, I can go ahead and talk and cut at the same time. I did take these and put them under some soap and water to clean them up because they did have quite a bit of mold release on them. All right, so we're going to transition to a recorded and adding commentary afterwards. I speed up the film to about 4 times, and I'm going through each of the pieces, breaking them off of their sprues, cleaning off any excess lead, pewter. I'm scratching. I'm also cleaning everything. So now that everything is clean, what we're going to do is we're going to add the 2 halves to the turret cupola, but it's actually listed as an escape hatch for the crew. Apply a little glue here, and then I'll put the 2 halves in place using my tweezers there, because these pieces are kind of small. They don't necessarily fit exactly, so I have to apply a little pressure with the backside of my tweezers to get it to go press in nice and snug. And then once it's in there, set it off to the side, let it dry. All right, now because this turret is a fixed turret, it does not rotate in any way, I went ahead and glued it on to the into the hull, and I wanted to line it up, aim it, and push it all the way forward. There we go. And then now the 2 halves of the tracks are okay. Now right there on that boom arm, there are 2 little holes, and on the mine clearing device there are a couple of little pins that go in that hole. So line it up, put them in just like that, let it dry. I'm gonna let that sit and dry for a minute while I work on some of the other items, okay, like the sides to the hull, the tracks. You got to make sure that you got the on the right side with the drive sprocket in the front, making sure everything fits right before I apply any glue. What's the rule? Measure twice, cut once. And then once, and you'll notice that I apply quite a bit of glue. I usually use a little excess when it comes to these Old Glory Shermans, just to make sure that the glue hits the right spots and that it is able to hold it. Now, I'll just sit this down for a minute. I'll apply a little pressure and let it dry, making sure it lays flat. But we'll get back to that in a minute, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so right in front, there's the mortar pieces, and then the rocker arm would actually fits into these little hinges in the front. It actually kind of holds it in place a little bit, but the turret is in the way. So the rocker arm, for it to go as low as you need it to go and be able to attach to the A-frame in the back, you have to actually bend the crane arm. Okay, since that popped off, I'm just going to go ahead and let you know that I apply some clamps. I've got a couple of these smaller clamps that will hold it in place while it dries. Nice and tight, because the glue wants a lot of pressure. Okay, now there are a couple of little hinges in the back. They're really just for show and for placement. This A-frame in the back, there's no real way to hold it. You have to just get into a position to let the glue dry. But in the front, there are those 2 little brackets. The rocker arm, the crane arm, will actually go in there, and it'll actually hold it in place. You got to make sure it's low enough in the back to pair up with this A-frame where the A-frame would hit on the ground. Now, because it won't go down far enough, you notice how I put a curve in the arms. That's so it'll go around that fixed turret. Okay, we're going to apply some glue into these two little clamps, and then slide them in there, push it down a little bit in the back, and then we'll also go ahead and attach the A-frame in the back to give it 3 points of contact. You'll have the two in the front and the A-frame in the back. Okay, it's already been glued. Now I'm using the frame, or I'm sorry, the clamp to hold the model up at an angle so that I can attach the mortar to the front. The mortar is already attached. So now I'm going to do the machine gun and the crew. Now the machine gun, you'll notice, has like a pintle that sticks down like a bar, but it's unnecessary on this armored recovery vehicle. It doesn't actually need to stick up any. So I just cut it off smooth on the bottom of the M2 machine gun, because the mount in the front of the turret is also just a little flat piece of metal that sticks out. If I wanted to, I probably could have used a pin vise, drilled a hole, and made it a little bit more secure, but I felt that just a drop of glue and holding it in place in the front was going to be sufficient. Now you got to position it just right. I had it originally on the edge of the turret and not on the actual flat piece that sticks out. But once I got it on the flat piece that sticks out, the glue adhered to it, it laid flat, and it's fairly secure. Alright, so I hold it for a few seconds to make sure the glue takes grip, and then, yeah, I can see I'm maneuvering it. There you go. Now I've got it laid on the front. And you can see it's already, it almost like instantly grabbed. Now I have a British crew member that I picked up from Flames of War. It's a tank crew. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue him into the big open hole of the turret, and just to give the tank a little life, right? Okay, so we glue him a little bit off to the side, and then I'm going to take this outside and spray it and let you see it as it's sprayed. Now, I originally primed with bronze green, and then I used this number 15 olive on top of it, because this is going to be a British armor recovery vehicle. So I used a British crew member, and yeah, so you see the mine recovery in the front there on the rocker arm. You see how the arms are attached in the back. You can see the mortar in the front. You can see the machine gun. A lot of extra bogey wheels and drive sprockets. Yeah, this is exactly how the model is supposed to go together. You can see the little hinge brackets in the front where the rocker arm sits. You try to get that as, yeah, right there. You can try to get it as straight as possible, but being pewter, and then they would attach in the back there, but there's no real attachment points. You just have to glue it in the place. This is a nice looking little model. All right, hopefully if you're looking for models like this, you should go visit our eBay store, which is located right here. I have models similar to this, Old Glory or Flames of War or Plastic Soldier Company. And if you're needing some models assembled and painted for you, I do commission work. You should send me an email at this email, and I'll be glad to look into that. All right, thanks for coming out and checking out this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.